Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Going Ballistic podcast. We're on episode number 54. We had to look that up real quick because we've actually lost track of what episodes we're on. And I say we, and you heard that laugh because guess who's back? Jason. Say hello, everybody, to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing, man? It feels like it's been forever since I've seen you, and it was only a couple weeks ago.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, I can't seem to catch a break. We are so busy right now.
Dude, we don't want to hear about it. That just means you're making a lot of money.
No, that means I am working myself to death with no free time. I mean,
How's the heat out there?
you know what? It's funny. Since I've had to transfer back into the shop and I'm running the whole inside of the shop,
Yeah.
first couple weeks pretty rough, but now that I've gotten used to it, the heat's not that bad. It's not bothering me at all.
Yeah,
In
you're in the
fact,
AC. Of course, you're not out in the heat.
no, we're not in AC.
Oh, that's
We
funny.
got some swamp coolers, but
So I've been bragging about the weather out here in Tennessee, and these last 2 days have just been muggy. It's been crazy. So hey, we already got people following along on the live chat on YouTube for the live video. I appreciate it. Steven, hello. He says, evening from Albuquerque. How you doing, man? So I've got some good news for everybody. Jason already knows this, and you guys might have guessed it already because we've been showing a bunch of love to MagTech lately because they're friends of mine, and I've been working with them, and they've been sending us some ammo, and they just sent Jason an awesome care package. I don't think we've had an episode yet since they sent that to you, have we?
no, we haven't. I just got that last week.
Jason got his first care package. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing, man. I actually emailed them, told them thank you so much.
What did you get? Tell us about it.
So they sent me 2 boxes of 308 sniper.
Okay.
They sent me I think it was 5 boxes of 223 and 6 or 8 boxes of 9mm.
Awesome. So that 308 sniper is probably the yellowish, goldish, and white CBC box.
No, it's green and white.
Huh. Oh, they might have changed. Okay, because there's CBC snipers. What they had, I've used that a bunch, and it shoots good. They call it sniper, I guess, for marketing. It's good ammo in that it'll shoot a minute of angle all day. So you can't expect better than that. Okay,
Right.
so I'm a big believer that you shoot a minute, that's good enough. And I've talked about it on this podcast before. I get tons of flack for saying, oh, a minute of angle is good enough because so many guys, online post these amazing little groups. And we've talked about that before. First off, they're only showing you the best group they shot for the day. And second off, you guys know I don't like shooting off of a bench or shooting for perfect groups. I like real world shooting. And a minute of angle is 10 inches at 1,000 yards. And yes, I would be happy right now to grab a rifle and shoot a 10-inch group at 1,000 yards. So I think in the real world, a minute of angle is good enough. I'd rather spend more time getting better at my shooting and handling a gun than working on getting a half-minute group to a 3-8-minute group. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. That doesn't mean anything, though, if you can't shoot a target at, let's say, 500 yards, a 5-inch target, and hit it right now versus taking all the time to shoot a good group. So that's good ammo to practice with. You won't get any probably record groups out of it, but it's great stuff to shoot. I've always had it go bang. It's nice. So, oh, wow, everyone else just chimed in. Eric, Robert, Redleg, Brandon, Todd. Awesome, guys. I'm glad you guys have joined us and are chiming in on the chat. Someone asked about accuracy juice. Normally, accuracy juice for me is coffee. Tonight, it is sparkling water and maybe some vodka in it. I'm not sure. Maybe just sparkling water. We'll see.
Oh, you'll know after you have a couple of those.
Yeah, we'll let you know. So I'm glad you guys are all joining us and participating. So I have some great news, Jason. I just mentioned it to you before the podcast, but I'll tell everyone else. We actually have an official sponsor now. Like, we can actually say the Going Ballistic podcast, episode number 54, brought to you by, you guessed it, we just talked about a MagTech ammo. So it's because I'm friends with them enough. I've been kind to them, and they've been very kind to us, that we were talking about maybe trying to help you guys out with some giveaways, about getting you guys some ammo to try. And I just mentioned to him on the phone, I said, why don't you guys just become the official sponsor? And then we'll just give away ammo to listeners. And they said, done. So it was like an accidentally official sponsor. So now there you go. We are sponsored by MagTech Ammo. And so it'll be a little bit of shills, but at least we're being honest about it, that they're hooking us up and they're going to hook you guys up too. And I want to hear your feedback. Now, to try and keep it fair, I know I can't do the contest for people that are just being here live, even though I love that you guys are on here live. Not everyone can do it. So the best way I could figure out a on-the-spot contest right now is because I'm trying to launch Mayday Safety and get the word out about it. I decided for this first free box, we'll be giving away a free box of ammo every single episode to somebody. For the first free box, I decided if you share something about Mayday Safety on social media, I don't care if it is Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything, share something about Mayday Safety with a link either to Mayday Safety's Facebook page or to the website, something to some people, and screenshot it. Take a screenshot and share it with us and send it in to info@ryankleckner.com. I'm going to regret that later because it'll be too many emails, but for this episode only. And what is today? This is June 12th. So I will run the contest for 24 hours. So by midnight Central Time on June 13th, I will stop it. Please don't send any more emails in after that. But if you guys share something about Mayday Safety, I'll put you in the drawing. And I'll have Jackie randomly pick the winner. I don't know how we'll do that. We'll figure it out. And for all of you, by the way, that send in notes to Jackie, she loves it. She likes being recognized for all the amazing work she's doing. So we appreciate having her. We'll pick a winner and we'll send you a box of ammo. So it's just a box, but hey, free ammo. But it's not really free because I want you to give us feedback. I want you to tell us the good, the bad, what you liked about it, if it worked for you. And I hope you guys enjoy it because we sure enjoy MagTech taking care of us. And someone else brought in a suggestion for us this morning. They sent me an email and they said, "Hey, Ryan, what do you think about covering a different caliber per episode?" And at first I read it like, I don't know if that'll really work. And then I thought, actually, no, that's a good idea. At least for the next 5 or 10 episodes, let's just pick a caliber or a cartridge and talk about it and the pros and cons and the differences about it. And that'll be a fun kind of theme for us to talk about. And then that'll be the caliber that I'll give away. So tonight, because we've already covered it before, and I've had a crazy day, and Jason's had a crazy day, we'll do 223 tonight just to recap or refresh some of the stuff for you guys. And you'll get a box of the MagTech. I think they call it First Defense Sniper 223 ammo. I just had mentioned I'm a shill now, right? Because they're my friends and I like it, but I will be honest with you guys because I just told you that their sniper ammos, it's good, right? That doesn't sound like a shill. I was trying to give an accurate impression of it. I will tell you this, though. Their 223 77 grain open tip match, the best stuff out there. It is awesome. I don't mean the best stuff out there for group size. I mean just the general ammo that you get. It is great stuff. So it's Sierra Match King 77 grain like open tip match bullets, where they're hollow point Botail bullets, awesome bullets, loaded to NATO specs. So it's crimped right, it's sealed right, it's everything because they make like more. I think they make more NATO ammo than anybody else. Worldwide supplying NATO stuff. So it is awesome stuff. And I think it comes in a 50 round box. So kind of like a flat pack box of ammo. So whoever wins the contest in the next 24 plus a few hours of sharing Mayday Safety, you get a box of 77 grain open tip match MagTech ammo to go try out and give us some feedback if you like it. Now I'm trying to keep up with all the comments already. Holy smokes. So I'm glad you guys are chiming in. You got to give us some patience. Let's see. Wyatt asks, "Hey guys, having a problem when I load my 700 with 4 rounds. It loads the first round, the next 2 double feed, so it won't extract a round. Wyatt, try and slide your rounds to the back of the magazine. I assume you're using an internal box magazine on your 700, and a trick I always had to do was when I reach up and I load the round into the rifle, I then slide it to the rear of the magazine and do that for each time. If the rounds are allowed to slide forward on their own, that'll happen sometimes. So Wyatt, see if that fixes it and tell us what you think. The other thing you can do is look at your follower in your magazine. Take the rifle apart, look at your follower. It probably has 2 little tabs sticking down. And those tabs are to keep the round capacity like within hunting limits. You can actually take a Leatherman tool or a Dremel and grind those 2 tabs off, and you can get 5 rounds in the magazine then. So you get 125% of the capacity just by taking those 2 little tabs off. And I've never had a failure or a problem with that. I've actually probably done that on 20 rifles. Students' rifles or mine, take those tabs off, and it works much better for me for capacity. So try that. Red Leg asks, "What's the black rifle on the shelf?" That is a SIG MPX in 9mm. That's a true SBR. I changed out the sliding stock that was on it because I think it was horrible. The gun is awesome, but the sliding stock, no dice. And I put a folding stock adapter from SIG on it, and it takes a buffer tube. And I put a Mission First Tactical Minimalist stock on it. So that's a fun little SBR right there that I like to shoot. Let's see what else. Hook it up. Looks like you guys are glad about the ammo. Give away a premium subscription to Mayday is the question. Maybe a premium subscription to Mayday though could be a lot of money, depending on how big the organization is. Even our cheapest level, which is K through 12 schools, is $1,000 a year. So I'll consider it, but I think for now I'm just going to do the share the word about it. I'd really appreciate it. MagTech pistol ammo, good. You liked it. Mayday safety for Android's not available yet, Brandon. Actually, all day today, I was out at Kyle Lamb's property. It was awesome with my business partner and with our security consultant we brought in. And we had been filming all day, doing like our really cool lighting interview videos. And we did another podcast for Viking Tactics that I think it'll be about another month till that comes out. And a lot of brainstorming and planning for Mayday safety about, you know, how it should work for schools and what else we can do and what's the smart answer here. And believe it or not, we're taking tons out of it. There are a lot of things I had planned for the functionality of Mayday safety that we're leaving on the cutting room floor because we're trying to make it the simplest, best thing that it is and not make it something that it's not. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll fill you guys in more later.
Oh yeah, you don't want it overcomplicated, especially in an emergency situation. You just want to
exactly
be
right. Yeah,
exactly
we want to be
right.
the best emergency system to manage the emergency, not before, not after, not anything like that.
Right.
Michael asks, ETA my advanced book, dude, not soon enough. I think I was telling Jackie that there's the two things I had pre-ordered was the ATF compliance course for Rocket FFL and that advanced book. And I learned my lesson. I'll never pre-order again. My fault. I thought I'd get them done, and then life got way too in the way, and it's so unfair for me to take pre-orders and not deliver. So I'd already offered everyone for the advanced book to have their money back with huge apologies from me. And a lot of people took me up on it, and I couldn't do it through the credit card system anymore. So I had to print out and send checks one by one because I do not want to take people's money and not get them the book. But Mayday safety is too important to get it out there, especially for the school year. And I'm doing that. Even the next book, which should be out this week, maybe next week, my children's safety book, that took priority. It's a safety book. I'm trying to help people out here. So I'm sorry, guys, but it'll come soon. Red Leg says 308 is the only caliber. Man, I need to update my first book because I'm now fully on the 6.5 bandwagon. It's insane. Matter of fact, here's my gun I'm taking to Africa right here. It is a Barrett Fieldcraft in 6.5 Creedmoor. Can you believe it? I'm taking a 6.5 Creedmoor to Africa to go hunting. That's how much I'm loving this thing. And look at this, a brand new sling that I haven't even trimmed the sling off of yet, just putting it on here. I had it because I was over at Kyle's today. It's the new Viking Tactics lightweight hunting sling. This thing is freaking awesome. I had no idea how cool it was till I played with it. And I was like, Kyle, I think I might need to steal that. So I left Viking Tactics full of Black Rifle coffee, good chow, and a sling. So that was pretty cool. Wow. I can't even keep up with the rest. You see anything we can
jump at, Jason? They're
going faster.
Blazing through it. I know, it's amazing.
Bobby said he liked the video on rifle cant. Good, man. I'm glad you liked it. A new NSSF video was released that I shot with them last year that describes why you shouldn't cant a rifle if you're not meaning to. And for some people that don't understand why it changes not only the side to side, but also the up and down impact, man, go check it out. I think it's my favorite video so far in that new series. Did you see it, Jason?
I did see the video, and I have a complaint.
What's up?
Where in the world did you get a Barrett Rec 10 for this video? I thought
Tell me that rifle is not gorgeous looking.
So I want one really bad, and yet you're in a video with one, and yet they're not on the market. What is going on?
It's nice to be
you, I guess,
one of the collectors. Yeah. Did you see? All kidding aside, come on. That's a gorgeous rifle, right?
It's beautiful. I want one.
Yeah.
I've been saving my money for that one gun.
They did everything right on that, and I forgot about it until I watched it. The first time I watched the video when they dropped it, I was like, oh, cool. I'm glad how that video came out. That's a really to-the-point, simple, explains it. They did great with the graphics. That wasn't me. That was them. And the second time I watched it, I went to look at the rifle. I was like, oh, that's the Rec 10. Oh, my gosh, that thing is I forgot how gorgeous it was. That's a good-looking rifle.
Yeah, I passed on ordering a Q rifle for the Rec 10. I am waiting for a Rec 10.
Right. Did you saw how it shot, right? That's not a bad shooting rifle.
Amazing.
Yeah. That it is obscene. If you have a chance to watch the video, go check it out and then watch the recoil. It shoots like it's a 223.
Yeah.
Like the gun just stays right in line. They didn't do anything special to make it recoil less. It's just Something about them. If you guys haven't told, I'm warming up to Barrett. I left the military not a fan of Barrett. I that was on the lower end of my list of quality stuff. I'm sorry to say that, Barrett, but that's just because I had bad experiences with the 50 cal Barrett. It's just the ones we had were abused, and it wasn't a precision rifle, and that's kind of what they're known for. But they've done a really good job reinventing themselves as not just the 50 cal people, and they've done things and surprised me where the MRAD I thought was a clunky, boxy looking, why would I want that? Till now, that's one of my favorite guns to take out to the range. The MRAD's a hammer. I'm going to be shocked if the Barrett MRAD does not win the new advanced sniper rifle competition for SOCOM. That's how amazing that rifle is. And now I'm playing with the Fieldcraft and that Rec 10. I mean, they're kind of coming out of left field, and they're, believe it or not, Barrett, me in early 2000s would not believe this, but Barrett's kind of my new go-to source for stuff. It's pretty darn cool what they're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I can't wait to get one. I mean, like I said, we got the Tactical coming, which I'm excited for. The 22 long range shooting, but I've been holding off pretty heavy, man, for a Rec 10. I mean, I was almost sold on getting a Q rifle, which I think is awesome too. But then I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hold my horses a little bit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wait.
The Rec 10's cool. So Robert asked a good question. He said, can I go over adding bottom lowers for Remington 700s for adding magazines? So he's talking about changing the bottom metal out so you can go to a like external detachable magazine fed system. I did that to my 700, and even after I did it, I kind of regretted it, honestly. It was cool. There's pros and cons to it. The pro to it is it's really fast and easy to change magazines. So you can actually engage targets faster. Now, I've said this a few times, and I've had many emails asking me to clarify this, so maybe I'll clarify it here, is I say having detachable magazines on a bolt gun is awesome, and you are faster with it until you run out of loaded magazines. Because the second you run out of loaded magazines, you're now back to not only as slow as you would be normally, but I actually think slower. And the reason is most magazine-fed rifles, you cannot push the rounds down into the magazine from the top. Most of them you need to slide in from the front, like Accuracy International style magazines or the Magpul ones, or the Accuracy International style Magpul magazines. So the problem is you have to get off the gun, still try to keep looking at the target, and unload the magazine with both of your hands while you're trying to look at the target, and then hurry up and get the magazine back in the gun to keep shooting. Whereas a standard just 700 with an internal magazine, you can always just throw another round in and close the bolt. Or as you're loading the magazine, if you need to shoot, you can just throw the bolt home and shoot. So it's handy, but it's adding more parts. If it's not done right, you're gonna have issues with timing. If the bottom metal isn't inletted into the stock properly, you're gonna have feeding issues. If the magazine's not high enough or too high. So you can't get the rifle as low to the ground. So it's pros and cons. It's definitely not something I would put on a list of something that you just have to do to a rifle. But if you do it, cool. Just understand the pros and cons. Now, Jason, don't you have detachable magazines on your 700 now?
I do. So when I swapped out the stock on my 700 to the Magpul stock, that was the option that I chose to go with. And I like it. I like it a lot. Now, it's interesting what you brought up. I have not tried to just drop a shell in there and shove one forward to see if it works.
It will work on that. You should be able to throw a round on there and throw one forward, but then you're done. You can't keep feeding and then push the bolt forward. You got to get that magazine out and then feed a magazine with both of your hands off the rifle to be able to get that magazine fed.
Right. And that's probably the only thing I don't like about the setup on mine is it's got the two ears that you got to squeeze forward to pop that magazine out.
Well, you should be able to just take your trigger finger and push.
Mine's still pretty new, so I have to hit both sides of it. There's
really?
A tab on each side.
Yeah, that's most of them. Even the Magpul ones I've seen, you can just hit with your trigger finger. The magazine should drop free on its own.
I think it'll get that point once it wears in a little bit more, but as of right now, no. So that's my only discrepancy with it. Other than that, I like it. It shoots great. I've never had a malfunction with it.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Did you see the video of the FBI agent doing a backflip on the dance floor and then ending up shooting some guy?
No.
Well, can you see the comments now? If you can, go to the top. At the top of the comments, I put a link to an NBC News article about it. Go check it out. I don't know if the sound is going to mess up our podcast, but for everyone else, you can go check it out. Essentially, what happens is some idiot is on a dance floor with a bunch of people around, and he decides to do a backflip, and he's an off-duty FBI agent. He completes said backflip as pistol goes flying out of the back of his pants. and then the pistol lands on the ground, and everyone freaks out a little bit, and he leans over like, oh, it's okay, and he picks it up, and he grabs the trigger as he picks it up, and the gun's a couple inches off the ground, and it fires at an upward angle, and it cranks an innocent bystander in the leg that had to go to the hospital. And then for the next few days, it was like, no charges are being pressed because, it's nice to have that privilege of being a cop or an FBI agent. Like, oh, it's okay. But if it happened to you or I, we'd be in jail. I'm beyond sick of the preferential treatment these guys get for being negligent with guns. And it was just insane. Well, I saw an article right before we started this. That's the link I'm sharing there on NBC where they talk about it. And I want to read you guys a couple parts of this article. It's a very, very short article. It's like 3 little paragraphs. The headline is FBI agent whose gun went off while doing a dance backflip taken into custody. First off, good he's taken into custody. He injured somebody. Like that is unforgivable what he did. Okay, so good he's taken into custody. But second, FBI agent whose gun went off, holy passive voice writing, his gun didn't go off. It's it should say FBI agent who shot an innocent person taken into custody. That's what it should read, because that's what he did. He shot somebody. And then as you read into the article, the first paragraph says, an off-duty FBI agent whose gun accidentally fired after it dropped out of his holster while he was doing a backflip. No, it did not accidentally fire after it dropped out of his holster. He shot the gun. When you pull the trigger on a gun with your finger, that's called shooting the gun. He may not have meant to shoot the gun, but he shot the gun. And I don't like that, one, because it takes all the culpability, the responsibility away from him. But second, it makes people think that guns go off. This is part of what makes people think that guns are dangerous. Is, I wouldn't want a gun in my house. What if it just went off? Guns don't just go off, or at least properly functioning guns. They don't just go off. People shoot them, and he shot them, which is kind of why he didn't get taken in the first place. Is I think is people thinking, the gun went off. No, that person shot somebody. So again, this is maybe a 200-word article. It's so short. You go down, it says he's charged Tuesday with the count of second-degree assault. And then it says, Denver police have said Bishop was dancing at a nightclub in the early hours of June 2nd when the gun fell from his waistband holster and hit the floor. When he went to grab it, the gun went off and wounded a man. Guys, again, the gun did not go off, and the gun did not wound a man. That person negligently shot somebody and wounded a man. So we got to start putting the blame where the blame belongs. Now, am I saying I'm above mistake? No. I can have mistakes too. I'm lucky that wasn't me maybe happening. But the point is, we need to stop saying it was the gun. It was him. He was negligent. And the reason he was negligent, the very first step where he was negligent, he was at a dance club doing backflips with a gun. Like, number one is when you're carrying a gun, you need to be ultra careful and conservative. You don't do backflips in a club. And some people say, well, maybe he was drinking. Okay, maybe he should have been drinking carrying a gun. I don't know. Or at the very least, when you're carrying a gun, you need to be prepared. My opinion, Jason, I don't know what you think. If you're carrying a gun, you need to be prepared to possibly take a punch in the face, get slapped in the face, maybe even get spit upon, and still walk away. I am not saying if you've got a gun, you've got to walk away if someone punches you, or you've got to walk away if someone spits on you. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying I can't imagine a circumstance, an imaginary circumstance, where you should walk away in that scenario. Not all scenarios, but in those scenarios, you need to not have an ego. You need to be prepared and realize that that gun is a matter of life and death and should be treated as such. So that means not only one, you need to not have an ego about it, and two, you need to not be doing backflips in a dance club. Tony says he can't see me doing a backflip in a club, Ryan. The reason you can't see me, Tony, is I make sure nobody's filming before I do it. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do one. First off, I don't even know if I could do one. You're right. But second off, I'm not going to do one while I'm carrying a firearm. It's insane. It is insane. So just thought you'd go check that out and see my little part of bothering me of writing in such a way that it makes the gun be the blame versus him. Because if it really was the gun, then why is this guy being charged?
Yeah, I just watched it. He grabbed it. It went off.
Heck yeah, he grabbed it. He grabbed it, put his finger on the trigger, and pulled it. So even if you do a backflip, even if the gun does fall out, stop, reset yourself, carefully pick it up, put it in the holster, and get yourself out of there, and nobody gets hurt. It's like if a gun is dropping, you should let it drop. You shouldn't try to catch it. Let it drop. Same thing with a knife. You drop a knife, jump your feet out of the way and let it hit the floor. You're going to get in trouble when you try to catch the thing. So knives and guns, if they accidentally get dropped, let them go. And then stop, be careful, and pick it up. That guy put his finger on the trigger, pulled the trigger, and shot somebody. Josh asked, if it's the gun's fault, why aren't more CCWs shot in the leg? Exactly right, Josh. You guys might already know this, but CCW holders, people that carry concealed firearms with a permit, are way more law-abiding than law enforcement. I'm not trying to dig on law enforcement. I'm just trying to say how good CCWs are. People like to blame these concealed carriers like there's a problem. No, there's way less crimes committed by people that have concealed carry permits than law enforcement agents or officers. So you can be safe. You've got to be safe. And nobody's above the law here. Again, I can make accidents happen to might happen to me. I might have an ND like that someday. I hope I don't. But if I do, then it's my fault. So what do you think about that, Jason?
Oh, I agree 100%, man. I mean, with the kids, even with Twyla, even when I gave her a concealed gun to carry around, I mean, I couldn't stress enough. I don't care what the situation is. If you're going to pull this out, you better have every intention that this is life and death and you're going to use it. Plain and simple.
Yeah, the line has already been crossed by the time that gun comes out. That's in my mind. Yeah.
So I'm with you. I mean, yeah, if somebody spit in my face or slap me, I'm probably going to slap or hit them back. I'm not going to pull the gun.
Yeah.
Right? It's just going to be a fight.
Or if somebody's punching me in the face, I can completely see a reason to pull the gun. Maybe I'm about to get beat up and I need to worry about them knocking me out and taking the gun and hurting somebody or maybe killing me by beating me up. I'm not saying that fists can't kill people.
Right.
I'm just saying if I can imagine a situation where a drunk person comes up and punches me and their buddies pull them back and say, get off of them, and they start pulling them away, and I have my chance to walk away, the gun does not come out.
That's right. That's not a life and death situation. Life and death situation, somebody's on drugs and they're coming at me to rob me with a knife or something. Okay, here we go. This guy's out to really hurt me.
Jason, are you still recording on your phone or are you using a computer now?
I use my phone still.
Okay, because people are complaining about your microphone again. I want to get you a nice microphone. So when you're ready to go on a computer, let me know. We'll have the podcast ship you a microphone.
Actually, what I need to do, because I have that microphone when we used to do the early podcasts.
Yeah.
What I need to get is a camera, because the camera on my computer sucks. Is what I need.
All right. Well, I'll send you a webcam. How about that?
Fair enough.
All right, then we'll get going good.
And I'll switch over. But now the phone's been pretty easy, though. The phone's got good pictures.
Oh, I love it. It's been working out great. I just heard just a couple comments, not very many. So, good. All right, so 223. What? Oh, I got one more tidbit to share with people. This came up on Facebook right before the podcast. Someone posted a picture of a Glock pistol, as if Glock made anything else. I guess they make knives and hats and T-shirts. So a Glock pistol with a red dot sight mounted on the slide, and then the rear iron sight in front of the red dot. So between the front lens of the red dot and the chamber or the opening on the slide. And they said, hey, has anyone ever done this? Or why would you have what would be the reason for doing this? And I chimed right in and said, oh, that's my preferred way of doing it. And someone came back right away like, Ryan, you know how to use a handgun? Yes, I know how to shoot a handgun. Thank you. Jason may have handed my butt to me a little bit, I think, with his laser pistol because I'm way out of practice and he's been practicing, so good for him. But the reason I like it is twofold. One is it keeps the lens of your red dot clean. So if your rear sight is in front, if you go look at a picture one, you can see how it will block all the debris coming out of the chamber, all the exhaust gases coming out of the pistol. It acts as like a shield for the front of the red dot lens. So it's kind of cool, especially if you're shooting a silencer, and especially if that silencer has liquid in it, like you put some water or some oil in it to help it keep quieter. It'll blow crap out of that chamber, and having that rear sight there keeps the lens clean. So it's a really cool place to put it. I take that back 3 reasons. The second reason is it moves the rear sight a little further back. Yes, you lose a sight radius with the iron sights, but those are backups anyway. Those are not supposed to be used. Those are just in case of emergency. That's like having a spare tire as a donut. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's just as a backup. But what it does is it moves the lens closer to your eye, and the closer the lens gets to your eye, the bigger it appears. So the more field of view you have through it. So it's another reason I like moving it back. And the third reason I like it is if the lens gets dirty or cracked or broken or something happens to it and I have to go to the iron sights, yes, I have to look through the glass to see the sights, but you'd have to look through the glass to see the front sight anyway, which is the most important part of what you should be focusing on is the front sight. But at least the entire sights and the target are all through the glass. It's kind of like having a windshield in a car that's got rain on it. If you're focusing out in front of the car, you don't really even see the raindrops of the dirty windshield. Your eye can kind of focus through the dirt. You know what I'm talking about, Jason?
Right.
And it's easier that way. Whereas if you had a dirty windshield and you stuck your thumb up in front of your face, and now you have to focus on your thumb and something on the other side of the dirty windshield and something beyond, I think it's harder. So I kind of like having at least the sights, the target in front of the dirty lens or broken lens so I can look through it completely. I like that it protects it from exhaust gases, and I like getting the lens closest to my face. So never thought that would come up as a question. These are just the things I forget that I think about, or I forget that I prefer, that you guys might want to know about. So there you go.
And there's our information for the night. That's good.
We need the more you know. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh yeah. You need a little chime or something. I love learning something new every day, man. That's my thing. I don't care what it is.
Tony said they need to start making red dot sights with a built-in rear sight notch. They do, dude. They do. I'm actually reaching over right now, and I'm picking up a pistol. It happens to be a Glock. It is a Gen 4 Glock 19, and I'll hold up to the camera. Oh, you can't really see it. Dang it. It's too dark. There's a rear sight on that right there on the Shield. This is the Shield RMS sight, and even with the plate, this is the MOS plate system, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but you can see the plate there. Even with the MOS plate, this Shield RMS sits low enough that you can actually get a full sight picture with the factory iron sights. Let me see if I can see it here and show you. There you go. See that? You can see the front sight clearly of the Glock through the sights. Look at it. You can get a full sight picture with not only standard height sights, but the Glock factory plastic super low sights. So I can completely co-witness you don't need suppressor height, super tall sights. This RMS works awesome. And you can even take the rear sight off because the rear sight that's built into this RMS is the exact same height and width as the factory sight. So, yep, your rear sight is built right in. You're good to go. This one, you wouldn't even need the rear sight at all. The only thing it would help for is deflecting some of the gases up in front of it. But this one's set up this way because it's the MOS. Here's the Shield. Now, I've had one instance of someone I trust and know has had the battery contacts bend out of place or break on this. Other than that, I've heard of awesome results of this thing. And now Walther is selling a pistol that comes from the factory with the Shield RMS sight on it. So far, this has been my favorite one. Someone said they've heard an issue with the lens scratching. I'm sure it's a plastic lens. Yep, I believe it. But I've had a lot of fun with it. Todd asks, how many guns do I have? And then how many I have just in this room? Todd, none of your business how many guns I have. How many guns do I have in this room? Here, let me show you something else that's kind of weird about the sight. You see that red light through there? You can see the red light from the front. Now, when you're aiming at the target, so if this gun was aimed at you, you wouldn't see it, but you can see the red dot pointing through it. But I kind of like the Shield RMS. I think it's a cool little sight. I'm happy with it. In this room, how many guns do I have? Well, I've got that one. I've got the Barrett. That's a gun, an old Springfield trapdoor. That's probably my favorite gun, the Magnesium Remington ACR. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. The SIG MPX. I have the Mossberg 590 Shockwave. I have a SIG 320 on my printer table. This is my office. So I've got a IWI Tavor X95 over in that corner that you can't see. I don't know. I'm guessing probably 8 in this office. But it's my job. That's what I do. Jason, you probably have a lot of countertops in your office.
No, actually, I don't.
No pieces of granite laying around?
Not in my office. I keep that crap out of my office.
That's funny.
Now in the shop, tons and tons and tons of it everywhere.
That's funny. That's funny. Yep, I have firearms around, but that's my life. That's what I do. So anyway. That's right. So cool. So what do we? Josh says should make the contest find the hidden gun in Ryan's office.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I actually have a mortar round right there. Remember that we talked about that in a previous podcast. and there's a collection of silencers. There's like 8 or 10 silencers sitting right there.
See, you should take the box of ammo and hide it in the office, and they'd have to find the box.
How hard would that be, though? If you could see it, you can see it. I mean, it's going to be a box.
Oh, no. Like if you hit it in that bush where you could just see the corner of it or something like
that. I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I'll consider it. So Wyatt says he wants an X95. Dude, I love mine. I will admit, though, I changed the trigger and the trigger bow out immediately to Geisley. So, and I also changed the pistol grip. So it's not that cutlass style grip. I changed it to a regular trigger guard and pistol grip. But yeah, I love it. I kind of get picked on for it a lot because it's not like tactical at the range, but it's a really, really, really fun gun to shoot. So that brings us into the conversation that we should be having about 223.
And you have a question in regards to that too, looking for an explanation. And we've covered this before, but it's good when we have the new questions because I also did not know the difference of this when we first started.
Well, good. Then you take the lead on this one, Jason. I've talked way too much already. So,
and that is the question of the 223, the 556, and what is wildy?
I call it wildy. Some people call it wild. I don't know. So
I don't know. Tomato, tomato.
All right. So Jason, what's the difference between those three?
Well, the 223 wildy accepts both cartridges because it's built to handle the higher pressures.
Yep.
The 5.56, being a NATO round, is built for a higher pressure, whereas the 223 is not. So you could shoot, well, safely you could shoot the 223 in a 5.56 barrel. It is not recommended the other way around.
Correct.
Shoot a 5.56 and a 223 because they are slightly different, even though they're pretty much identical.
Yeah, they're actually slightly different lead, which kind of from the shoulder forward a little bit, not quite the jump. Casey says it's wild. I know, Casey, I hear that, but I also hear a lot of people say wildy. So I don't know. So, yeah, so you guys know what we're talking about. Exactly. Well, why do you put an E at the end of vitamin shop, but it's not vitamin shoppy? I don't know. So you're actually right, Jason. So the problem, though, is just because it's NATO doesn't mean it's higher pressure for everybody. So, for example, this isn't tonight's cartridge, but 308 and 762 NATO, right?
Right.
Did you know that 308 is the higher pressure?
I did, actually.
There you go. So don't mistake everybody that just because it's NATO, it must be higher pressure. It's not the case. For 223 Remington versus 556 NATO, yes, 556 NATO is not only higher pressure, there's slightly different shoulder dimensions, and there's a longer lead difference, which all that means is you have the chance of having a pressure issue, not only because of the higher pressure cartridge, but because of the fit. So a pressure and fit issue if you shot a 556 in a 223. So you have a choice. You're picking up a rifle and you want to get a 223 or a 556 barrel. I always recommend getting the 556 barrel because now you know you can shoot not only 556 cartridges, but also 223 cartridges. You can shoot both. Now the 223 wildy or wild or wildy, I don't know. I'm trying to think of another way to pronounce it. The reason that's a popular cartridge or chambering is because it gets you a lot more, sometimes more accuracy than just the 556 chamber is. It's not just the large, quote unquote, sloppy 556 chamber. It's actually set up to try and take advantage of the best of both. So a lot of cartridges or a lot of barrels that are chambered in that are for precision or for accuracy rifles that are trying to get the best of both. But you're right. So 223, a lot of people are unfair to the 223 cartridge in both directions. They're either unfair and say it sucks and it's too tiny and too weak, or they're unfair in that they say it's more amazing and has all this folklore than it really is. I think the truth is somewhere in between, right? So AK-47s are more accurate than people give them credit for, and AR-15s are more reliable than people give them credit for. There's a little bit of both going on. So 223 is an awesome, awesome cartridge. It really is. It just makes you just need to make sure you have the right bullet and that you have it for the right purpose. So I love shooting long range with the 223. I have tons of success. Matter of fact, the one rifle I wish I could keep for the military was my Mark 12 SPR. It was an AR-15 based rifle. We shot only the 75 or 77 grain match grade federal gold medal match ammo out of it. Yes, that was cool in the military. Everyone else was getting like ammo cans and we were getting like retail box packaging. It was fun. Stupid accurate, no recoil. I mean, I could shoot and spot exactly where my round landed, especially with a silencer on it. It was a really, really fun gun. So as a spotter, I could carry that Mark 12 and I could back up a shooter and they could shoot and I could follow up with another shot. And 223 and 308 effectively has about the same elevation adjustments. So that's pretty easy. Now the 223 is not as good in the wind. It gets blown around a lot more in the wind than 308 does, but the elevation's about the same. But it was just nice to shoot at the school that I taught at for a while there in Phoenix. We had that 920-yard target out of the main classroom door. So it was our easiest long target to kind of get to for demos. Is I could shoot, reset, and shoot again as the first round was hitting the target. It was a really kind of cool demonstration. And I've more than once I've had students, in this one case I had some student be like, yeah, well, you just hit it a bunch of times in a row, but that was 223, so that's not going to hurt, at all. That's not good for hunting. And the owner of the school was standing back in the group, and he went, actually, we didn't say this course is about hunting. This is a sniper school. My answer was, yeah, you're right. 223 is useless at that distance. Tell you what, hey, you go down there and stand there, and I'm going to shoot you with it, and then you show us how useless it is. And of course, he's not going to volunteer to stand at 920 and get shot at the 223. But the third excuse was, and this is what the owner said, he goes, I just saw you miss it 5 times in a row with a 300 Win Mag. So there's a good point to be had there is, yeah, you can have a bigger gun and you might miss it completely. Doesn't mean that you were better for having the bigger gun. So I'm not saying it's good for hunting, nor would I ever recommend taking a 920-yard hunting shot. But for target shooting or even some military purposes, just poking something at 920 yards of the 223 is actually kind of fun. It's just a really forgiving, inexpensive, neat round to shoot. So I like it for that. It's also great for varmint hunting, for coyotes, rabbits, stuff like that. You could use it for deer. I think you're starting to kind of push it, but it can work for deer because it's great in the military for people. I'm sorry, everybody. That's what the military does, is they're trying to shoot people, and a deer and a person is about the same size. So you can definitely shoot it for those size targets. You just got to be careful with the bullet. And if you use a green tip bullet, the military green tip ammo, it's got a small steel penetrator in it, and it's going to not only ruin your steel targets, but it just sucks as far as performance of a bullet. It really does. It's not the most accurate. It doesn't have great terminal performance unless you're trying to poke holes in some pieces of steel, or Russian helmets was the whole idea for it. That's what it's for. So I'm not that impressed with that stuff. But if you shoot the right bullet, it could be an amazing round. Matter of fact, it's probably one of my favorite rounds for like a home defense round, or just a general. You're gonna have one rifle and you want it for Red Dawn happening or End of the World and a prepper round or just an all-purpose round. 223 is pretty awesome. I mean, what do you think, Jason?
Oh, I love it. I mean, not only was that the first gun that I built was that SPR when we first started this whole thing out.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite guns. But I mean, I've shot rabbits with it, with Aspire points, and it's pretty devastating, man. At a couple 100 yards,
yeah,
it makes a mess.
It does. It's a fast bullet. Now that's the problem with the Brown, though. It needs velocity to work. Okay, so you have the energy equation is energy equals mass times velocity squared. So velocity is more important than mass because velocity gets squared in the calculation. So it gets not double the value, it gets squared the value of the mass. So it is, on the energy side of things, it is more important to have a faster bullet than it is to have a heavier bullet. Now, I don't completely subscribe to that. Now, that's true. I can't say I don't subscribe to that. That's how you calculate energy. What I'm saying is I don't subscribe to that as that being the end-all be-all in life, is sometimes momentum is a big deal too. Momentum is just mass times velocity, which means mass and velocity are weighted equally. I hate to use the word weighted, but you guys know what I mean. Is it's kind of like the difference of lobbing a bowling ball at somebody versus throwing a BB. In hunting, there's a lot to be said for momentum and the mass of the bullet. But for the 223 to work, it's got to have the velocity up off the charts as a super fast bullet, and now you get all the energy you need. If you slow that bullet down to the same speed as something that is normally bigger and heavier, no, it's horrible because you don't have that velocity there. So it's got to be a trade-off, which means barrel length. And here's the full circle is why I brought it up, because of that X95. And someone said they wanted to try one. One of the reasons I love the X95 is I get a 16-inch barrel out of a rifle that I can reach forward with my firing arm, and I can touch the tip of the barrel with my firing arm. I can have it in my right shoulder, and my arm, I can touch the tip of the barrel. That's a pretty short rifle. And I still get a full 16 inches. And now that's important because that gives me the velocity for 223. A lot of people like SBRs for AR-15s, or they like doing the AR-15 pistols to have a short package. That's cool. But every inch you lose off of that barrel, you're losing velocity. If you're losing velocity, you're losing the effectiveness of the 223 round. Again, I'm not volunteering to be shot by a 3-inch 223 barrel. That's still going to suck. But if you're trying to play this game on power or effectiveness or range or things like that, in my experience, 12 inches is the limit for me on a 223 barrel. Once you get below 12 inches, yes, it might be fun. Yes, it might be okay for targets. But below 12 inches, you start losing reliable lethality out of the 223 round because you don't get enough velocity anymore. And you end up with just a giant fireball. So when I get picked on for the X95, for the Tavors, I used to pick on them too, but I had to try it out and I came around to it. That's one of the reasons I love it, is I get a compact package, but I still get the effectiveness out of that 223 round. Now, if you want a 10-inch, 9-inch something barrel on an AR-15, awesome. Get a 300 blackout. The 300 blackout is perfect. It is optimized for a 9-inch barrel. Matter of fact, a 10-inch barreled 300 blackout is a waste. You're not getting any extra benefit out of that extra inch from 9 to 10. Where 223, you are getting a benefit out of that. So, what's your favorite cartridge for the 223, Jason?
Well, currently it's the Spire Point, as we know.
Definitely. Yeah, you buy the factory Spire Point. Yep.
Yeah, the Hornadies.
And I reload the snot out of those things. If you guys have seen my Instagram, I buy those in the 6,000 round box. A giant flat package shows up that's heavy as snot, and you open it up, and it's just, you want to like dig your hand in it like Scrooge McDuck diving into the gold coins at the beginning of DuckTales. And you just pick up, thousands and thousands of these things. But so tell us about the cost and the performance of those for you, Jason.
Okay, so for those of you that have already heard my story, sorry, but for the guys that are new, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So when we first started this whole thing out with me and getting into long range, and me and Ryan were talking, and back when we used to record podcasts with no video, and I'd send him links, it was a mess. So I actually started with, since I don't reload, match grade ammo, and was not getting the results that I wanted. And so I was at Cabela's one day. I called Ryan, and I'm like, "Hey man, they got these Spire Points on sale. What do you know about them?" And you're like, "Yeah, you should be good with those. Go ahead and give them a try." And I'm like, "Well, a box of 50 is only $22. That's super reasonable." So I bought, I think, 4 or 5 boxes of them, went out, and outperformed thus far anything else I've put through my gun. Now, I have not put tons and tons of different ammo through my gun because I just haven't bought a bunch of different ammo to try. But jumping from match grade back to the 55 grain Spire Point, shot the best groups. Plus, it's a hunting bullet, and I like to hunt. And that's the other big turn on for me, is I can hunt with this bullet. And
it's awesome. Oh, yeah. It'd be devastating on like coyotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually went outside and shot someone to a water barrel. I have a 55-gallon drum that I fill with water, and I just will test bullets into it. And I cranked 5 of those Spire Points, and all 5 just opened up beautifully and mushroomed because that soft point.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get the best of both worlds with it.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's cheap, it's accurate, it's also, so for those reloaders, I've actually fallen in love with the Ramshot TAC powder. Some people give the Ramshot powders kind of a bad name. I don't know why. They're a budget powder. They're not, I should say budget. They're not expensive. So maybe they're not premium powders. They're imported. But the Ramshot TAC is like squished little ball powder. So it's flattened ball. So it's better than just ball for consistency for burn rate, but it acts like ball. And I swear it's like graphite. It rolls like water. It's the weirdest powder. When you take it and tilt like a cup of it, you'll see it flow back and forth. So that's the best way I can describe it. It's like they're coated in almost like a graphite. They're so slick. And they just run like a dream through a Dillon, 550 or 650 powder measure. And I run what I call mouse fart 223 loads, which are just soft shooting. They're enough to cycle the gun reliably, but man, they're just super soft, flat shooting for fun, for plinking, as 22 grains of Ramshot TAC behind those 55 grain Spire Points. And then for full velocity is 26.2 grains of that Ramshot TAC. Gets me super high velocity and accurate loads. Now, you want to get really accurate. I don't think you can really beat the 77 grain Sierra Match Kings, which is what the MagTech box has in it, which I'm giving away. We are giving away for a random person who shares the Mayday Safety app. So share on social media somewhere, either our website or a link to the app or something for Mayday Safety. Tell people about it. and then take a screenshot and send it in to info@ryankleckner.com as an email. And then we'll have Jackie pick a random winner, and we will send you from MagTech a box of their 77 grain match ammo. You're going to love it. I kid you not. It may not be the best for groups, or it may be. I don't know. For me, it's just really good. But as an overall round, you guys got to trust me. I'm going to be honest with you. I will tell you when something's just good or I'm not a big fan of it. I even did at the beginning of this podcast about something that's just decent, like the MagTech 9mm I've been shooting. I love it. There's nothing super special about it. It's not like amazingly better than everything else, but for the price, it shoots great. I love that stuff. And if you go look at Kyle Lamb's Instagram, you can see the group I shot with that thing with the compact gun. It's amazing. So it's good, but it's good because it's so inexpensive. They even make the cellular and bellow ammo. I don't like it just psychologically. I just don't like the look of it or the packaging. But it shoots great too. But I'm not saying shoots great too. I'm not saying it's the best ammo though, so I'm not being a complete shill. It's just good budget 9mm Plinken ammo. It's good stuff. But their best load so far for me is that 223 77 grain open tip match. And Jason, you've got to go shoot it and let us know how you think it performs.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. Right now, the state of Arizona, and thank you for all the guys that are neighbors to Arizona or in Arizona supporting us on the show. We got some of those in the words tonight, but we are basically ready to catch fire and burn down to the ground. The state is so dry. So they have it right now with all these fire restrictions. You can't even go out and shoot a BB gun. That is restricted. So until we get a little bit of moisture and some monsoons, or unless I go to a range, which then I'm only limited to about 300 yards, I'm gonna kind of on hold on shooting that. So I'm gonna shoot the pistol ammo, and I'm gonna tell you how that goes this week. I'm just gonna go to indoor range and shoot that. But I can't wait to shoot the rifle ammo.
Good. You need to try it out. Group it. Go for reliability. All that kind of stuff. Make sure too when you guys are testing around for reliability in your gun, don't stuff the magazine. You should do one at a time. In my experience, you take the magazine, put one round in it, put it in the gun, shoot it, and each time watch the bolt lock back to the rear. Because you can load 10 rounds in and it'll work great until the last round and you think it's 90% good, where actually it means every round wasn't enough to lock the bolt to the rear. So that's how I do it. Paris George asked, I have a couple of powders for the 223 556 that were disappointment. I have a bunch that were disappointment, honestly. The only two powders I've used probably 10 or 12 different powders for trying stuff for 223. The only two that work for me reliably and accurately are the Ramshot Tac and Hodgdon's 4895. H4895 works great in 223. It really does. Now, if you're doing a heavy bullet and you're trying to load with the H4895, you're going to crunch the powder. You're going to do some compressed powder in there, but it still works for me. In the Shape of Human asked my pet load for the 308. I don't know if I should share it or if I should wait till the 308 podcast. What do you think, Jason?
You should wait till the 308 podcast.
All right. I will wait till the 308 podcast to tell you that 42.5 grains of H4895 is amazing behind 168 grain Hornady pills. So I won't tell you that now. I'll tell you that in the next podcast. So, man, we just blasted through an hour of me blabbering. Sorry, man.
That's all right. I had to grow up with it, man. Couldn't shut you up most of the time. So
that's true.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's why we almost killed you when you were younger. Thanks, Ryan. Actually, that got brought up today at my shop. My guys were like, somebody didn't hear the story. And they're like, so what's this? You almost killed your cousin. I said, oh, okay, here we go. So I sat down and went through the whole story. And they're like, dude, that would have been bad. I'm like, You're telling me? I said, I don't even know how I would have explained it.
Guys, you are all awesome for tuning in and being so active on the chat. Sorry we couldn't respond to everybody. You guys are getting too involved. We appreciate it. And sorry for last week. Just doing Mayday safety and everything else has just swamped me. Forgive me. It's a good cause, and you guys can help me by helping spread the word. Jason, you owe us a report on that MagTech ammo, man. This is like part of the job now.
Yes, it is. It's part of my job, and that's why I'm going to go shoot the pistol ammo, because that's really all I'm going to get away with this week. So that's my homework this week. I'm going to shoot the pistol ammo. Plus, I have a gun that I got to go shoot that a buddy of mine loaned me. He's dying for me to shoot it and tell him how it goes, which is the 22 TCM, which is a nice.
Oh yeah, hold that up real quick. I heard you playing with the gun before we started the podcast. You mentioned it. Can we see it real quick?
Yeah, I even show you the bullet. So a buddy of mine He bought a gun from Rock Island, I believe is the name of the company.
Yep, Rock Island Armory.
And it's a 1911 frame,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with 2 barrels, 9mm and 22 TCM. And this little thing is cute, man. So it's a little 9mm neck down to a 40 grain head.
That thing, that's got to be a rocket flying through the air.
So he's really excited for me to shoot it, and I'm happy Luis brought it to me.
Jason, do you know what a desk pop is?
That thing is heavy.
Yeah, I bet. Well, because it's a thick barrel.
Oh, it is really built.
Can you point the barrel at the camera so we can see it?
It's tiny.
No, it's not. That's a thick barrel. So the outside,
the thickness, yes.
the outside diameter of the barrel looks like a normal diameter, and that tiny hole. There's where a lot of the weight is coming from. Is how thick that barrel is.
Yeah, it's massive. So, but I'm excited to shoot that. So I'm gonna shoot this. I'm gonna take the MagTech ammo, shoot that. I'm gonna put it through my 43 and my Glock 19. And I'm actually going to shoot it against my SIG ammo that I have because I love my SIG ammo.
Here's what you got to do for us. Here's how you're going to earn your keep with that free ammo.
All right, let's hear it.
Clean the gun to whatever you consider clean. Okay. Whether you use like just CLP or oil to clean your gun, or use solvents, whatever, clean it, and then go shoot like the MagTech ammo. Do the MagTech ammo first. Shoot, I don't know, 100 rounds of it or 50, whatever you want to do. And then give us some sort of test of how dirty it is. So push a dry patch through the barrel or run a dry patch in the chamber. Do something and save it. Okay? And then clean the snot out of the gun. Get it all clean again. And then go shoot the same number of rounds of the SIG ammo. And then do the exact same thing. Someone's saying, oh, snap, knife hand. Yeah, here's my knife hand. Do the same thing and show us. Because I've heard people online say that the MagTech ammo is dirtier. When I first heard that, it was easy to believe it, like, oh yeah, because it's like a budget ammo. I haven't experienced that yet. I've been shooting the snot. I think I'm 3,000 rounds deep of MagTech in the past couple of weeks, and I haven't seen it. So I want you to give us a semi-unbiased, like on some patches. Let us know if that MagTech is actually dirtier than the SIG stuff. Okay?
You got it, man.
Or any other stuff. I don't mean just the SIG, just whatever else you had.
Actually, I have a couple different ones. I have the SIG ammo. I have the Remington bucket of just cheap Plinken ammo.
Yeah. Do the Remington cheap Plinken ammo, because the SIG ammo, I think, is a little more premium ammo. I'm not trying to talk bad about Remington. I'm just saying the bulk ammo is supposed to be bulk ammo.
Yep.
So try it and just see, and maybe we'll do a little comparison here. Maybe we'll find out if it's dirty. Maybe it's not. Tim mentioned he heard that I said desk pop. So have you heard of a desk pop, Jason?
No.
I don't know what that movie is. Will Ferrell and Marky Mark. What's it? Mark Wahlberg, where they're cops.
Oh, where they're cops.
Yeah, and they talk Will Ferrell into doing a desk pop. And he's like, what's a desk pop? And I'm like, oh, you haven't done a desk pop? That's when you're sitting at your desk in the police office and you just crank around off into the ceiling. It's called a desk pop. So I'm checking this firearm. It is clear. He's like, all right, I'm going to do it. Here I go. And boom, he cranks around into the ceiling and everyone dives over their desks. And they're like, oh, we can't believe you did it. And they completely trick him into doing a desk pop. So I think you should do a podcast pop with that 22 TCM. You got the round on the gun. Come on, man. Just crank one on the ceiling.
Oh, my wife would love that.
So when are we going to get Twyla on a podcast?
Oh, she's dying, man. She's ready whenever you're ready.
All right, guys, you're listening. Twyla's awesome. Twyla's like, she might as well be born a Kleckner, not married into Kleckners. She's really freaking cool. We need to have Twyla on. So you pick a night where it'd be good to have Twyla on, and we'll have her on.
You bet, man. Oh, she would love it.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We've been long enough. Sorry for rambling. Jason, you're awesome. Thanks, man. And let us know if you get a chance to come out and get that homework done for us with the ammo.
I'm going to have that homework done before next podcast.
Josh said, haha, he's not even worried about the police, just his wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Twyla's awesome. I'm not being disparaging against Twyla, but without a doubt, my first thought in his house would be the same thing. Would not be the police. And besides, the police, somehow the Phoenix police know the Kleckner boys. That's not in a bad way. That'd be a good thing they'd know us. We'd probably be able to talk ourselves out of the problems with any police. Not with Twyla, though.
No, right. Not with Twyla.
So take care, everybody, and I hope to catch you all next week.
All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.